just 10 years ago, 10 years ago, like this at our back, precisely on March 22nd, 2014, something wicked, something sinister happened in Ibadan, Nigeria. When I heard this story, I couldn't believe it. Sit back, relax, and just be marveled. Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. But if this is not your first time, welcome back. Before we go into the story, I want to please ask that if you're not subscribed to this channel, kindly subscribe and like and share this video as well, because this story, people need to hear about it. People need to hear about it because we have to be aware. I mean, we have to have we have to have each other's back. And I have your back by telling this story. So have another person's back by sharing this story. But 10 years ago, on March 22nd, 2014, there was a man called Kazim Abakuda. Kazim Abakuda was an Okada rider. As we know it in Nigeria, we know them as Okada riders, but people around the world may know them as motorbike riders or motorcycle riders. Now you know that in Nigeria we use Okada to move around, like it's a means of transportation, not just personal transportation. It's people pay, exactly, people pay for those Okada riders to take them to certain places, and there are some places where Okada will enter that keke cannot enter, cars cannot enter. And frankly, some people even prefer to use Okada than to use cars or to use keke for one reason or the other. Some people feel like they are faster, even though they are not safer, they are not as safe as cars, but some people just prefer it anyway. Kazim Abakuda was an Okada rider, and on Friday, March 22nd, 2014, he was going about his business, looking for his daily bread. I always say it on this channel that sometimes you don't know when your daily bread will be the thing that will put you in harm's way. But look on another side. Let me continue. So he was going around looking for his daily bread that day. Let's assume that day, Kazim Abakuda had told his family that, okay, when I come back today, we'll discuss so and so, or when I come back, we'll talk about this, or we'll eat this, or just whatever. He had done all that and he had gone for work, and he carried somebody and was taking the person to Bodija area of Ibadan, Oyo State. As he was going, he got a call. He kept going. He got another person, kept calling incessantly, kept calling. So he decided to park his bike or park by the roadside and answer the call. And when he did, it ended up being someone else that he knows. The person that he was carrying to Bodija region is someone that he knows. So it ended up being somebody else. And the person said, "Hello, Abakuda, please come and carry me to Soka region of Ibadan." So it was like, okay, please come and carry me to Soka. So Kazim was like, "I'm already carrying somebody, but you know what, let me go and drop this guy at Bodija, and then I'll come and pick you up." That one was like, okay, no problem. So he told the person that he was carrying, "Let me quickly go and drop you at Bodija so I can go and pick so and so that has been calling me. Let's call that person A." When I was doing my research about this story, there were a lot of speculations, and I'll tell you what I think at the end of this video, and I'll tell you the reason why I think so. But let's continue. So now, he now took the person that he was taking to Bodija, and dropped the person. But as he was going to pick A that had called him to take him to Soka, he said, "Okay, you know what? Soka is far, and now it's getting late, and before I come back, it may be too late for me to be coming back home alone, because Soka is at the outskirts of Ibadan." So he said, "You know what? Let me go and pick my cousin. As we go and pick my cousin, so that when I drop this guy, we can be gisting together, and I will not be alone, because that place is a lonely place, and It's a forested area. So when he went to pick his cousin, then he picked this guy. And when he picked the guy, this earring is painful, my God. Shit. I don't think I want to wear it anymore. So when he went to pick, let me just remove the second one. He picked his cousin. When he picked his cousin, and they both went to pick the guy that was going to Soka area. Now, when they got there, I'm gonna wear it in my finger. Oh, it won't go through my fingers. And I want it like rings. Looks cute. So he went to pick the guy with his cousin, and then they went to Soka area. But that was Friday. By Saturday, they had not seen Kazim Abakuda, and neither had they seen his cousin. So they became worried. His family, his relatives became worried. You know that you're taking his cousin, and his own family will be worried. His cousin's family were worried. His colleagues were worried. Everybody was worried. We have not seen Kazim Abakuda. So they started looking for them. And while I was, reading up about this, I found out that a lot of people had nice testimonies to give about Kazim. They all said that he was a nice guy. They all said that he was kind, he was nice, he was friendly and all. So I imagine that a lot of people would have been worried about him, and a lot of people would have wanted to know where this guy was. So by that Saturday, and they hadn't found him, they hadn't heard from him, they decided that they were going to go and look for him. Now, somewhere on Saturday, Kazim called someone. While they were looking for him and thinking, where is Kazim Abakuda? He called someone. He told them, he said, hello, I don't know where I am, but I feel like I have been buried underground. He went ahead to tell them that they had been attacked, but he didn't see who attacked them. Remember that Kazim had dropped somebody at Bodija, and was there when this our A, when A was calling him and telling him, come and take me to Soka region. Yeah, so, and now Kazim Abakuda had called them. So it was they now had the knowledge that he was somewhere at Soka, but they did not know where exactly he was. So they went towards Soka to look for him. As they got to Ogunpa River, they saw something. They saw his bike buried, not just somewhere under the bridge at Ogunpa River. Okay, you know what? Let us cross over the bridge and go and look for him. Let's cross to the other side of the bridge and go and look for him. So as they crossed it, decided that, okay, you know what? Let us split into two so that we can cover up small ground. This group go this way, the other group go the other way. So that's what we did. One group went one way, another group went another way, looking for Kazim and his cousin. So the group that had crossed over the river, as they kept burrowing into the forest, or it's not even like a thick forest like that too. It's just like, I don't know how to explain it. I'll put clips somewhere. It's a forest, but it's not a forest. They say it's a forest, but it's not that much of a forest. It's like a place that has sparse vegetation. Like it's not a dense forest exactly. It's not a dense forest. There are no big trees. It's not covered up like that. It's just that the ground is covered with bushes and grasses and all. And if you go deeper, yes, you see more trees, but around there are no much trees like that. And that is because, okay, let me not go before, let me not move ahead of myself. So as they were going inside, the group had crossed over the river. As they were going and looking for Abakuda, they started hearing sounds like, please give me water. They were saying it in Yoruba, please give me water. And so who is asking for water? Who is looking for water? Who is begging for water? So as they went, they decided to trace the voice, because obviously it was a cry for help. As they were getting closer, they heard gunshots. And soon they realized that these gunshots, they're not just shooting sporadically, they're not shooting at anything, they are shooting at us. So they ran back. I went to tell the other guys that, see what's happening, this is what we heard. We heard some people crying for water, and as we decided to investigate, they started shooting at us. So those other people, they now converged together. Everybody now gathered themselves together, and They went, some according to one of the accounts, they went back home and got tools, weapons, like they had hoes, they had cutlass, they had weapons, different kinds of weapons. Everybody just shall grab what you can grab because it's about to get dangerous. So the whole lot of them converged together and now went to where they were hearing the cry for help. As it got closer, those people that were shooting, because now they are seeing that a lot of people have come, and these people, they are more than us. So even if we shoot, if there are only so many people that we can shoot, there are only so many people who can kill before they will mob us. So those ones abandoned ship and ran. As it got towards closer, closer to the building, they kept going closer and closer. They got closer to the place where they were hearing the cries for help. There was a deep, bad, in fact, I would say unrepentant, but it cannot repent. There was a horrifying, horrendous smell. Like the smell of decay and the smell of death was everywhere around that area. It was prevalent around that area. And in fact, if na me sef, if not that they were looking for Kazim Abakuda, I could say if na me, I for don run go. Because imagine how bad the smell would have been. The smell of death, the smell of decay, the smell of darkness and wickedness. So they entered one of the buildings, one of the uncompleted building. When they got into the building, they found people emaciated, bone dry, hungry looking, skeletal human beings chained to the wall like dogs. So immediately they started releasing them because that's the next thing to do when you see people chained to the wall like dogs, haggard, dirty. They unchained them. When they unchained them, some of them took to their heels and ran, which of course I don't blame them. I mean, this looks like salvation, but anything can be happening here. So some of them took to their heels and ran, remaining just 7 of them. Least I forget, I got to the building. They got on that call from Abakuda and he said, I can hear you people, I can hear your voices, I can hear your footfalls. I know you people are around, but I just don't know where I am. You're close by. When they had released those other people, they were looking for Abakuda. Obviously, Abakuda was nowhere to be found. He's not among the people that were chained to the wall. They called him. They said, where are you? We are already in the building. We have released some people already. So where are you? He said, I don't know. I don't know where I am. But I know that I'm buried underground. He told them that, you know what, just start digging. Dig in place everywhere you can find. Dig here and dig there. Dig everywhere. Dig around. Then he also told them that, see, my battery is dying. My battery is low. So that was what they started doing. They started digging and looking for Abakuda. And some other people, while they were digging, other people were searching other uncompleted buildings looking for Abba. When they opened some of the uncompleted buildings and the containers that were there, they found hundreds of clothes, hundreds, bags, shoes, identity cards, all manner of things. That is to tell you that a lot of people had come through this horror house. Of lives have been lost in this horror house. So they went around still looking for their friend. Some people were digging, some people were searching some of the buildings, some people were going around. It is said that as they went around the house looking, they saw decomposing bodies. They saw hands, they saw legs, and they saw over 50 skulls. Human skulls were littered around the area. In one of the buildings alone, apart from the hundreds of clothes, shoes, bags, identity cards that were found, they saw a building filled with dead bodies, both fresh dead bodies or boats and all kinds. They saw a building filled with dead bodies with their heads still attached to them. Meanwhile, they were still looking for Abakuda. They were digging and digging and digging and they hadn't found him. So they decided that they were going to call him again. They called his number again, but unfortunately his number was switched off, meaning his battery had gone completely flat. By this time, the police had come with their pump and pageantry, and as they came, they stopped them from digging. They were like, this is what has happened though. We're still looking for our friend, allow us to leave. But the police refused them from digging. Remember I told you that when they got into the building, they found people chained to the wall. They released, and I told you they released those people. Unfortunately, one of the persons that was released, one of the seven that was released, dropped dead right there and then, meaning it was now six of them that were remaining. It was said that when the police took over the environment and they refused to allow people to enter, so people were adamant that I must enter this building. And people who had friends and families that had gone missing wanted to enter into the building, wanted to search those items and see if they would find anything. Maybe it's a shoe, maybe it's a bag, or maybe it's an ID card that would make them trace that this is where their loved one ended up. At least it will give them some kind of closure, but the police refused, and it was said that the police even beat some people who were adamant that they were going to enter into the building. In fact, a man called Pastor came with cutlass, armed with cutlass. He wanted to enter into the building to look for a neighbor called Dari, but he was beaten and wounded by some policemen with the butt of their gun on the left side of his face. Not only was tear gas released, but also at some point live bullets were also shot, and a woman who was hit later died. People who were rescued from the abandoned building were taken to Oyo Hospital, and a lot of people trooped there because a lot of people were looking for their families and their family members. And I can imagine that some of them would have wanted to, if they could, would have wanted to speak to those people who had been rescued and ask them if they had seen their family and friends who may have gone missing or who had gone missing. One of those who went to the Adeoyo hospital was a sobbing mother who said that her daughter Nneka Peters had gone missing since 1998, since their father, that's since this girl's father, Nneka's father, died, leaving her to take care of Nneka and her siblings in 1997. Nneka was only 9 years old when she disappeared. Her mother had sent her to fetch water opposite the house, but from fetching water, Nneka disappeared, not to be seen again. Since that 1998 that Nneka disappeared, her mother has been looking for her, and her mother said that if she saw Nneka, or if she sees Nneka with her two eyes, she'll be able to recognize Nneka. But sadly, Nneka was not one of the victims that was rescued. Another man from Oyo State, one Mr. Kehinde, also came to the hospital looking for his father, his 95-year-old father, Pa Isaac, who was last seen on December 31st, 2013. He was asked, Mr. Kehinde was asked to go to the hospital to check among the victims if he will see his father, but he was also not among those who were found. After this incident, everybody became a suspect, and I don't blame them, because if something like this is happening around you, within your vicinity, and there were so many unanswered questions, then you cannot trust anybody. After the incident, residents resorted to jungle justice. One of the victims of that anger and frustration was a man who was dressed as a lunatic, but was said to have been on the phone telling somebody not to come to that area. When he was found to be making that phone call and advising someone not to come around that area, they caught him, they beat him up, and they burnt him to death on that Ibadan expressway. Another man that was dressed as a mad person was found around somewhere they call Ring Road. They say they found 3 human tongues on him, and I'm sure he would have been beaten to death. He would have been beaten and burnt to death if not for the police that came and rescued him. Suffice to say, lunatics were being targeted by the residents of that area, because the lunatics, or those that were dressed as, or those that were mad people, either dressed as mad people or were mad people, were all searched. And those of them that were found with incriminating things, like some of them that were found with cutlass. Another one, they said the person was found with red clothes with white clothes, amongst other items that shouldn't be found on a mad person, were also found on him. Some of those lunatics were lucky. When they were lynched, the police was around and the police saved them. But some of them were unlucky and they were set ablaze and burnt to death. Now, let's talk about the people that were the victims that were found in the Soka Forest. One of them was a woman called Cecilia. Cecilia was a 72-year-old woman who had gone missing in Edo State in 2008. That was 6 years before Abakuda's friends went into the Soka Forest to look for him. That means she had been there in that building for 6 years without aid, begging for water, begging for food, living in that. And in fact, I don't know what to call those conditions. Her grandchildren, who had seen her picture on the newspaper and had come to Ibadan to come and claim their grandmother, said she had gone to the market one day and just like that, she disappeared. Another person was Nafiu Shitu. Nafiu Shitu said he was just taking a rest after hawking his goods one fateful day when some men dressed like government officials came and bundled him into a van and accused him of violating environmental law. So that's why they packed the guy, put him in a van, and took him to the Soka Forest. He said that he was the only one in the van, and he felt like, okay, probably they had mistaken him for a mad person. Another person whose story we know about is Titi. Titi was said to have just been sitting outside her house, taking fresh air, enjoying cool breeze, when some men also came and bundled her, saying that she was needed somewhere.
There's so many questions to ask as regards this story, questions that I had myself, and there are questions that I think some people may have. So I'll do my best to answer those questions. And one of them is, why were those buildings there in the first place? Why were there so many dilapidated, abandoned buildings in that area in a bush? But the reason why those buildings were there is because of construction companies that had used that place as their on-site office. Of these companies, construction companies, if you've been around construction companies or you worked with construction companies before, you know that they have on-site offices where they keep their equipment, they keep all the things that they will need, the site manager, the engineers, the architects, everybody. They need to have a place where they can come, hold meetings and all. So those places and those containers were the places used for those things. So that's why, number one, we have them. And the truth is, normally when you have places like that, when you have uncompleted buildings, dilapidated buildings that people are no longer staying in, or abandoned buildings, you most often see miscreants. You most more often see people who are like, people use that place to perpetrate evil, do things that are illegal in such places. So it's not far-fetched that those people use that environment to do that. The second question is that I asked myself, and I believe you may be asking yourself now, if you've not heard if you didn't hear this story, is it that nobody ever wandered around that place? Is it that nobody ever wandered around that area? And if those people who are looking for Abakuda could have heard people asking for water, why couldn't those people who wandered around that area, why couldn't they have heard? And also, it wasn't even as if nobody was living around there. Yes, remember I told you that it's not a thick forest. It wasn't like that area was not a thick forest. Why is it that nobody ever wandered around that area? One. Two, yes, like I told you, the construction people, they left their on-site buildings and stuff around that area, but the other industries around that place, and yes, that place was not a place where people stayed like that, but there were still people that were residents there. So why didn't those people hear, and why didn't they report? That was a question that I asked myself. But I found out that they actually did report. They reported to the police, and when they reported to the police, they were told that facility, that place was for lunatics. It was an asylum for lunatics. When they heard people shouting and all that, that it was those mad people that were shouting and begging and all that. And I'm sure that that was one of the reasons why those people overlooked whatever they were saying, or whatever it is that they were hearing going on around that place. But this begs the question of, if it was an asylum, I mean, we're in a sane, it was supposed to be in a sane environment, we're supposed to be in a sane community, in a sane country. There are supposed to be regulations. People that go there to check these things and make sure that, okay, even though these people are not too okay in their brain, even though these people are mad, they still have, there's a way they're supposed to be taken care of. They're supposed to be treated a certain way, not that they'll just be abandoned in a not completed building and be fed nonsense. I found out that those people were fed rice with red oil. In fact, that the food that they were giving them wasn't something that dogs could eat. So there were supposed to be regulations. There were supposed to be people whose jobs it would be to go and make sure that these people that they say they are mad, or these people that they say they are lunatics, okay, they're feeding them right, they're giving them the right drugs, they're in a good environment, things like that. But those things were not done, and I think it was all just a cover up for what was really going on the ground. Around this story, there are many theories. If you read about it, you'll find out that people have so many theories about what happened there, why it happened, how it happened, and all that. The first theory was that sites for ritual killings. That theory I agree with. I think that for there to have been so many skulls around, they say they found over about 50 skulls, or more than 50 skulls, in that vicinity. So for there to have been 50 skulls, human skulls, not dog skulls, but whatever skulls, human skulls in that area, and human body parts like legs and hands, then I agree that it must have been a ritual killing site. The second being that it's a body parts market, an organ trafficking market, I also agree with. You know how these things are when they are trying to remove organs and for sale or whatever it is, they would dismember the body and all, and they will have to cut off the legs and cut off the hands, cut off whatever areas that they don't need. I feel like it was also a body parts market, no cap. The third theory was that it was a human trafficking market, and I 159% agree with it as well, because those people, a lot of them were sold. Number one, let's look at Abakuda. Abakuda, I believe that as well, that Abakuda was sold out by his friend. Because why was his friend so persistent to be taken by Abba to the Soka vicinity? Why didn't he call somebody else? If he was so much in a hurry, there are two things. If he was so much in a hurry, why didn't he get somebody else to take him to the Soka Forest? And the second thing is, except is that he didn't have money and he didn't want to pay Abakuda. He was like, okay, guy, just take me there. Later on, I'll pay you. But if that is not it, then I also think that friend must have sold him out. Let me give another reason why I think that this must have been a human trafficking scheme. There was also a victim called Mr. Adewale. Adewale said he came to Ibadan and was on his way to somewhere within Ibadan, inside a bus, when the bus conductor brought out a gun and a knife and told them that if they shout, if they make any kind of noise, he would kill them. And then they diverted the bus from where it was supposed to go to the Soka Forest. When they got to the Soka Forest, they offloaded them there, where two hefty men came right there and then beheaded two people and took the remaining of them into the uncompleted building and chained them up like dogs. I believe that even because of this man's testimony and because of what we saw happen to Abakuda, I think that somehow these people had organized it in such a way that other people could sell unsuspecting victims to them, and for whatever price, I don't know, because obviously that conductor would have gotten, and the driver would have gotten some kind of incentive. They wouldn't just have taken people to the Soka Forest there to go and be slaughtered. And if Abakuda's friend also took him to the Soka Forest to be imprisoned there and probably butchered, then he will also most likely have gotten an incentive for what he did. So I think that the idea that this thing was also a human trafficking scheme is also correct, because yes, they were paying for people. They were obviously paying people to bring human beings there so that they will have a constant supply of people. So what do you think? People were being brought from different states, I believe. Let's take a look at Cecilia. Cecilia went missing in Edo State. So it's not just an Ibadan thing. I think, what am I even saying? I've heard many testimonies of people that got kidnapped, and luckily for them, they escaped one way or the other. And you hear them say, I was in Abuja, but when I escaped, when I found out where I was in Lagos, or I was in Kaduna, or I was in Imo State, or I was in... They always take them far away. So I believe that this human trafficking scheme is also correct. Now, the fourth one is that it was a cleanup, some sort of cleanup by the government, which I also believe, and I will tell you the reason why. Why I believe is that it was said because it's a past, it's a story that's 2014. It was said that sometime around 2012, a company called Messrs. Colorful Company Limited got the contract of evacuating lunatics from the streets of Ibadan, and that this initiative was run by a certain Ibrahim Badamusi. After that contract was given to Colorful Company Limited, mentally challenged people were being snatched from Ibadan environment, and it was said that these people, that when they come, they will tell people that are asking, or people that want to know why you carrying me to, they will say we're from the Ministry of Environment and Habitats. So now let's look at the testimonies of victims that are before us. Do you remember Titi? Titi said that she was sitting down outside her house, taking cold breeze, when some people came and told her that was needed somewhere. The second person is Nafi Yoshitu. Nafi Yoshitu said after he was done with his hawking for the day, that he was taking a rest when some men dressed like government agents came in a van and told him that was violating environmental laws. That just clicks, and the fact that he was there for 7 months, it fits. 2012 to 2014 means that that's 2 years and he was there for 7 months. So here's what I think. I think that all those things that we said, the ritual killings, the human trafficking, everything was going on. I just think that way of cleaning up lunatics from the environment was just an extra way to get more people. That's what I think.
Want for them to get people that look like they are not totally up there. Because if they were actually looking to do something for people that were insane, there were better ways to have done it, and the whole thing just sounds some kind of way to me. So you may be wondering, after everything was said, did they later find Kazim Abakuda? Unfortunately, they never did, because like I told you, police came and drove everyone from there, and so his friends couldn't continue digging places looking for him. And yeah, his phone also died, so he couldn't keep in touch with them. And after a while, they broke the structure and upturned it, demolished it, and so Abakuda remained buried underground till this day. He's there. He's buried there. Abakuda was buried underground. So Abakuda was never found, and if Abakuda was never found, that means his cousin was never found. Just like that, that family lost 2 people, which is very sad if you ask me. That area, the Soka Forest, where that stuff happened, where Abakuda was buried underground, where all those people were kidnapped and held without ransom. I mean, it's not even a case of kidnap, because they were never asked. Their families were never called and asked to pay for ransom. Unfortunately, that place has been converted into a school. Unfortunately for people who were looking for answers that never got it, unfortunately for those who have a school around them that they can now attend, I mean, it's a good thing, but I don't just like the way that everything was covered. And I mean, till today, nobody has been held accountable for what happened. You just, it's quite unbelievable, honestly. You don't just say something, and that's it's crazy. And I think that's why we are where we are, because we know how to cover a lot of things in Nigeria, and it's really, really bad. Till today, we don't even know. We don't know who it was that were, people. Who was it that kidnapped those people? Who was it that kept those people in their place? Who was it? Nothing. Everything. Nobody has been arrested. Nobody was prosecuted. Nothing happened, and everything just went like that. Everything just, it's quite unbelievable, but we are living in an unbelievable country, and that's just the truth. So, unfortunately, till today, nobody has been brought to justice, and Abakuda's family, they must have moved on. But how do you move on from something like this without closure? How do you move on from something like this when you can't even like there's no closure. They don't even know, okay, what happened to our brother. They don't know. It's quite unfortunate. And I would just say that if there's a lesson that we can take from this story, it's that we should be careful. We should be careful. Now, people wey know people, now they do people. Did you get that? Now, people wey know people, now they do people. As in, it's someone that knows you that will harm you. So be careful, and always look for someone that you trust that will have your back. I know that, like in Abakuda's case, it's quite unfortunate because in Abakuda's case, yes, they came to look for him, but because his battery died and they didn't have ample time to dig around, they couldn't find him. But at least if somebody knows where you're going to, if someone knows that, who you're going to see, where you're going to, the picture of the person you're going to meet, their phone number, all those things, they can trace you. They can find out, okay, this is, at least even if you were moved from that location, it's to give them an inkling of where to begin their search. And our devices are, God has helped us. We have technology now. Something I do a lot. Put on your live location. If you're going somewhere and you're going to be moving, I put on my live location. Okay, this is, I send it to somebody. This is where I am. You can watch me while I move. So that if anything happens and for one reason or the other, maybe my phone is stolen, or something happens to me and then my phone goes missing, my phone falls, and God forbid, at least they will know that this is the last place where she was found. So they can trace my live location. Okay, from here now, at least there's something they can trace. It's not just with the wind. They're not just going helter skelter. The direction. Do you understand? So let's start as well. Let's make sure that we have someone that we trust that has our back. And while we're doing that, also be careful. Use your sixth sense. And I ain't gonna lie, man. Sometimes you use your sixth sense, and the sixth sense will shine not sixth. Like, because sometimes, as we said, it's people that you trust that will harm you. Haven't done all to stand. At least you know that you've tried your best, but also be very prayerful. May God help us come out of the bad egg from our baskets. So be very prayerful and just open your eyes, shine on very well. So guys, this is the end of our story about the Soka Forest of horror. Please consider subscribing to our channel, where we tell stories about African heroes, people that have achieved great things, and crazy stories that shook Africa. So share this video to somebody that hasn't heard about this story, and make sure you give us a thumbs up. Also, leave a comment in the comment section and tell us about one way, give an advice to us, like tell us how you protect yourself, or your safety measures. What safety measures have you put in place to help you navigate the dangerous society that we are in today? Drop that in the comment section and say a prayer for Abakuda and his family. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Until the next video, keep living as your most authentic self. I'll see you in the next video.